Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey everybody, welcome to Paranormal Karen, the Halloween show episode. I'm so excited because I did not have I was scrapping stuff together. I actually had something that I will do on a different episode, which was John Zaffis is this famous demonologist.
Ooh.
And I have his book, and my friend was like, that's the scariest book I've ever read. So I've been pulling chapters, like just little paragraphs I can read to scare everybody.
Oh my God.
But so then my one of my favorite people, Angela Lovell, is in LA, and she's like, why did I come over? And I'm like, yeah. And then you started telling me stories, and I was like, oh no.
Oh my God.
This is the Halloween episode. This is the Halloween episode.
Yeah, this has been the creepiest, craziest couple of weeks since July, since I did the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum investigation.
Which is where we'll start, right?
Yes, let's start there.
But first, you have a thing coming out, and we're going to talk about it mostly at the end, but I want to preview it
right now. Thank you. I have a psychic development masterclass.
And your first class was great.
Thank you. And I want you to do, because you know how I feel about you being mediumship stuff. You are obviously calling in spirits. That's a psychic.
Yes,
that's a sign of a psychic medium. That's okay. That clairaudience comes later. Yes, I'm doing a mediumship course where, and it's like everybody. That's the thing. Like, not everybody's a psychic medium, but everybody can talk to their ancestors, their pets who passed, loved ones who passed, the ghosts haunting their houses. Like, you still have access to a lot of spirits, even if you're not a technical psychic medium. But this comes out the 28th, right?
Yeah. So it's the 28th or 29th,
okay.
And on the 30th, you're doing a big deal.
Yeah. So you can get all the classes right now, and then on the 30th, do a crazy mega seance that I'm going to talk about the person who's been contacting me. Unsolved brutal murder. She's with me on this trip, which is crazy because she was murdered just down the street from where I live right now. And she wants people to know who killed her. And I haven't opened, but I have two of my favorite psychic mediums from Casadega. I just saw an orb over your head. From Casadega Hotel. I became really close friends with these people while I was in Florida with my sick mother. Now I'm moving back to LA, which I can't wait. I'm so glad. But yeah, we're going to have a full-on live Zoom seance where we're going to contact your people. Everybody's just invited in. Like, all your people, bring them in. And I actually want the people doing the course to help me get messages from this woman who wants us to know.
And just before, we're going to cover more of this at the end. Is this, because what a great thing to do Halloween night.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be so fun. The veil is thin all month.
That's what's going on. And so it's East Coast time?
Yeah, East Coast time. But I set it all, because there are a bunch of live Zooms, which will all be recorded. You'll get tons of stuff with this. We're doing it at a time where pretty much everybody, including overseas, can participate. I can't remember what time, but it's all on the website. If you go to angelalovell.com and click on courses, like, it's in there. So I'm so excited about this. It's going to be wild. Look at Toddy looking at you.
Your little dog is so cute.
She's the best familiar. She taught me the best lessons. She actually, it's so funny because I just did this shamanic retreat too, and where now I'm identifying as a shamanic witch, which is like a whole weird transition. I'm like, well, let's heal people and do high magic. Let's just have it all.
I have to say, I think I'm adding to my, I may be adding a 30-minute energy healing because it keeps coming up. And, excuse me, and there were a couple of clients where I would say, I will do 10 minutes of healing of you on the end, and just see how it goes, and no charge. I'll do it after the thing. And it's been going very well. And because I used to do Reiki, and I just didn't feel like it was hitting the mark. So you can look for this, folks. I may put up like a really inexpensive 30-minute healing and add it to my thing. But it was not like, I didn't feel what I feel now. Like before when I used to do it, maybe that's the veil being thinner, or the downloads we're all getting, or it's just time.
All of us who are open right now to the transition are getting crazy downloads. And it's funny because I didn't even want to do another psychic masterclass because it's so much work to put it together and everything. But after the Trans-Allegheny thing and then this recent thing and the mediumship stuff and the person who's been, I mean, she's been straight up haunting me, but like now she's a guide. She's guiding me. Wow. And after all this, I was like, oh, okay, it's time to do a mediumship course. Because every time when I did my first psychic development course, all my gifts leveled up. And like animal communication, which I haven't even done yet. I just decided that's what I started asking my guides for. And I told you, like, the bats that have been swooping me, the visions with bats. I have, like, on my Instagram, my squirrel who came to me. She's crossed over, and I see her all the time. But even when she was alive, and I do past life regressions with people, she would appear with giant angel wings and lead me down wormholes to see their lifetimes. She is such a power animal.
You know, sometimes Courage will be in the other room, and I'll be making his dinner, and I know he's tired, and I will see him float in. Like, I'll see him out of the corner of my eye, and then it disappears just a half second. But it's like he's checking to see if food is ready, and he's in the other room.
Oh my God! See, this is like familiar. Like, these are familiars.
Yes,
when you
they
get
are.
the animal,
I
you're
think
supposed
you
to be.
taught me that. I love that.
Yes, I love it too. Well, Toddy, it was so funny on the shamanic retreat. I actually said that morning, which nobody else was allowed to bring their dog, but she's my little worker bee friend, you know. And I had her strapped to my chest the whole time, the whole retreat. We're in a teepee, and she's like, she journeys with me. With this dog, when I start to shamanic drum starts going, she's like, oh, let's go. Like, she blasts off. And that morning, I said to someone, we're having breakfast, and I said, she's my greatest teacher, and I have no idea what the lessons are yet. And then we're at the table, and Sarah, my shaman, I made a joke. We were talking about dating. You know, it's like all these psychics talking about dating. And I said, I'm going to have to leave this country to find a man. And Sarah points at me and she goes, well, you said it. Now it's true. And I was like, nope, I'm kidding. That was a joke. I'm not doing that. And it was funny because a moment later, well, funny, but she starts choking on an almond. Oh. And I have Heimlicked many dogs, and there was a moment a long time ago, I talked about this with Ryan on our podcast, This is Where Magic Happens, where Dolly was choking. Someone had brought cheese to my house. You know, I don't eat cheese, but like, I was feeding it to my dogs. Dolly was choking on a hunk of cheese, and I couldn't get it out of her. And I just laid down next to her, and I was like, just go peacefully into the light. And I was bawling, and I'm like, I'm watching my dog die. And then all of a sudden I was like, fuck this. And I stood up, and I was like, I call on the archangels. And I Heimlicked her, and the cheese shot across the room. But I refused to accept that my dog was about to die. At first I did. So Toddy starts choking, and I've learned all these lessons from the squirrels, especially. They were my greatest teachers last year. And I did lose several squirrels, and it was, I was traumatized, but I've grown a lot as an animal communicator from the loss. And the first thing I knew was I needed to go around the corner. She needed privacy to not die. So I take her around the corner, learn this from the squirrels, start Heimlicking her. Everybody at the table is like calling on everybody to come in and save this dog. And the whole time, I'm like, she's going to be okay. I was so calm. And I mean, I'm a hysterical woman. You know? I was so calm. And I refused to accept that she would die. It was 10 minutes of her. I'd get the almond out. She could breathe. But then she'd start salivating it and go back in. And Sarah, my shaman, is like, you got to get in a car. You got to go to the emergency clinic. I pulled one up and I said, no, I'm Heimlicking this almond out of her throat. I refused to accept it. The almond shoots across the room. Just this little piece of it. She had shooted. It was just a little piece that just kept getting caught sideways. But she had just reminded me, because this was moments after Sarah said, you said it, now it's true. Now, if I had laid down next to her and accepted her death, like I did that other time, and just been like, go peacefully into light, she would have died. So her big lesson for the day was, we create our reality. And I said, absolutely not today. I mean, ever since that moment, every single day, I'll feel, because we've all been in dark places, I'll feel the sadness coming back, and I will consider entertaining it, and I'll be like, no, that's not my day. That is not the day I'm having. But that is all from watching her almost die. So I do want to talk about the translator.
And we want to talk about
yes.
that.
Okay.
I want to talk real quick, though. There is a sadness that's overwhelming right now.
It is hard. And this new moon that we just had, so this is just going to be a couple weeks after the new moon, all that Libra, that new moon was like a hard-hitting full moon. And I told everybody, because even I was feeling it, you know, like the person who ghosted me, who I still pine for, but kind of like, well, do I want somebody who can do that? You know what I mean? Like somebody I was really connecting with. I have never really thought or felt drawn to messaging him and being like, what happened? Because I have a Leo moon. We're very proud. And that day of that new moon, I was like, text him. And my guides were like, fuck no, don't do that. And then I went home to my friend who I'm staying with here in LA, and She was sweating, this guy, and I said, don't text him, don't text him, don't talk to anybody. And other men I've been talking to, we all went silent that day. Nobody was messaging each other. And I told her, don't message that guy. She did, and it blew up, and it was a nightmare. And she was crying, and it was fine. And I'm like, no, it's Mercury. Mercury is retrograding right now, and Libra, and all this nonsense. But it's like this new moon, and now we're all going to be on the other side of it when you hear this. It forced our eyes open to see things and to accept them. So now there's a whole new acceptance coming in about the sadness, where it's like we realize, okay, there's another year of... I'm getting like 1.5 on COVID weirdness.
I think 2023 it'll be gone.
Yeah, 2023 is when you told me I'm getting married.
Oh,
remember that? I haven't told anybody about that.
That's great. Yeah, I think, well, this is the other thing too, and I don't know if I'm living differently, but I have the news off. I only watch the news on YouTube, and I also isolated myself. I used to be in these text threads with a lot of comedians, and at the moment I pulled out because I'm living in a bubble, okay? And I'm more creative.
Yeah.
I am going in and out of, I think, like I told you, all the weird past life stuff is sort of...
but the collective energy is bad and funky.
But living in this bubble, there is no fear.
Yeah.
There is no... I feel like I'm healthy all the time. I've been traveling. I'm not worried. Nobody's screaming at me about numbers that are half real anyways. So I think everybody take a break, because, in fact, when I hear about a mandate or something like that, I'm like, wait, what is going on?
Everything is hearsay. Everything is hearsay. A lot of people are reading headlines and not, and I'm
terrible about that.
I know. Well, that's the thing. It will read a headline, and then because I was reading a lot of dry information, like a lot of research and stuff, and even that I had to stop because I wanted to trust my intuition on things. But I have been moving without fear for a while now, and it's like... it's life-changing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still doing all the right things, and I'm still I full-on wear an original N95 because I'm psychic, and I told everybody I had a box of N95s back when they were like the Cabbage Patch dolls, and I got them right before everybody ran out of them. So I was very lucky in that sense, but I still am milking this original box of original N95s. But I still wear an N95 when I go on planes. Like, I'm doing everything right.
I was a very healthy person before.
Yeah.
But I started with, especially, and I didn't know this, talk about instinctive. They say if you get the virus, it attacks wherever there's inflammation. So if you have bad stomach, bad knees, that's where you're going to feel it first.
Yep.
So I have been doing, first of all, I feel like I finally gave into the green tea lobby, which was the strongest. They were shoving green tea on us, and now I drink like an iced tea.
Green tea is high in fluoride.
What?
See if you can.
That's so
the way
weird.
they process it. I know this is because we both have Berkeys. They process it with a weird fluoride thing, but there might be, and please, if anybody's listening and knows, please message both of us. There's probably a green tea out there that is produced without the fluoride effects.
I'll find out if it's,
because I love green tea.
Because I get it from Trader Joe's, and that's the only company I trust.
Yeah, I love Trader Joe's.
I'll find out. I'll see if I can find out from them. But after that, and then I added this weird turmeric thing that I have every day. Turmeric,
I take turmeric every day. Yep.
A big scoop of it. You get it organic turmeric, cinnamon, ginger, and pepper.
All this.
Put it in
every
my
day.
Smoothie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the vitamin. So I got extra healthy. It's so funny that, you know what? I just ditched the green tea. I was going to do both, but I think I may take out the green tea. Blue butterfly pea tea.
What? I've never even heard of this.
I've never heard of it either.
You sound like a girl who's like, I have a child, I have a fairy garden, and we drink blue butter. Beep. What?
It's called Blue Butterfly PEA tea. It's a flower.
This is adorable.
I know, and they were.
I want to drink it.
It's like it's blue, and it's like 4 times as many antioxidants as
I'm
green
in.
tea. And you get, I just ordered it on Etsy. It's the flower dried. So I don't think they're processing it with anything. I had to buy like a tea bag.
This is what
sifter.
I want. That's what I want. That's what I need. Well, and you just made a really good point. We all feel like, what's true? Who's telling us the truth about anything? Some people are more afraid of COVID. Some people are more afraid of vaccines. Long-term side effects of vaccines, which is where, for sure, I think the fact that I don't like the way people are talking to each other about these things. Like, we're all afraid of something. But here's the thing. Managing your health is something you can control. And there are a lot of ways. And anti-inflammation is huge. Keeping your weight down. Why is that not a headline?
Yeah.
I just gained 15 pounds. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, you're right. And you know what, too? There's a difference.
It's having my heart broken.
And you look amazing.
I know. I like to do the thing where I'm like, well, I'll just eat all these non-dairy Ben & Jerry's, and then a man won't love me. And then I run into this hot guy I went to high school with who's this hot craft cocktail bartender. Oh, have you ever had a craft cocktail made out of breast milk? And I'm like, we don't need to have this conversation. Yeah. Like, stop trying to impress me. I'm going back to LA anyway.
But you're absolutely right. The health,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny. I'm sorry. The point I was making is not bragging that hot bartenders are telling me. It's because I'm like, well, I'll gain weight and I will repel men. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Nothing really works like that. So I have compromised my health instead. But it was really fun just sitting around eating Ben & Jerry's in my underwear. But now I have to go back and get on my Peloton. And I've been eating so much yogurt and just vegan pizza in LA because I don't have vegan food in Florida. But anyway, the health thing, heart health, there will be nights where I'm like, I don't want to get on my Peloton. I'm never going to get naked with a man again, blah, blah, blah. But then I think about the statistics for people who walk rapidly 20 miles a day versus those on ventilators who did not. That there is a reason that that the earth is like, hey, pay attention to your body. Hey, all of you, there's a reason so many people, because we're both vegan, are moving into ethical eating
and you know what else?
Plant-based.
It's not about a size always.
No.
Like sometimes people are meant to be. I know exactly what you're saying, and it's really interesting too because it's the things I've added. I haven't taken out.
Yeah, me too.
I've added these
coconut oil to my coffee every day. I blend it so good. Oh my God, it's pure brain fuel. I am on fire, and isn't and it's antibacterial, coconut oil, and isn't it anti-inflammatory? Am I crazy?
I think it is. That's another one. The other thing is, and then we're going to get to scary stuff.
Yeah, we got to get to scary. I mean, COVID's scary, right? We're all sick of it.
There's another one that's an incredible. Well, there's so many good things.
Yeah.
There's oregano oil.
Yes, I've been taking that. It's so funny. My clients, because right before COVID, I saw slaughterhouses closing the November before COVID. I told everybody, my friends still remind me that I was the one who cleared out Trader Joe's and had all the toilet paper long before I had the N95s. I was ready. Somebody was just saying it to me last night. She was like, you told me to cancel my birthday party in February. And I told her that before the new year. And she's like, and I didn't believe you, but I knew it was coming. I knew it was going to be bad. But the oregano oil and vitamin C, I kept telling everybody. And there is a concoction that they've been giving to healthcare. Hospitals are giving this. It's injections. It's, I don't know if I'm saying it right, quercetin, bromelain, and vitamin C. And they've been giving this to healthcare workers, and you can find I haven't been able to find articles about it. I've been able to find dry research. These healthcare workers are not getting COVID. People, they double the dosage, and they give it to people with COVID, and they don't die.
Wow.
So there is really good stuff out there. You can be healthy and make yourself feel safe, and if you believe in the vaccine, find a nice way to talk about it. If you don't believe in the vaccine, find a nice way to talk about it. Yeah. I think that the censorship is
split us.
Yeah. This is where it gets real weird. And and I'm open about this now. I only just got vaccinated, and I talk about this on my Patreon, but and this is actually a big secret I'm not supposed to talk about. They're telling me right now, shut the fuck up. I keep waiting for the government to come take me away. Where I just vanish.
What you mean because what you're talking about?
Yeah. Or because I keep knowing things that I'm not supposed to. Well, I think they're fine with it. If anything, I'm being monitored, which is why I'm not afraid of Alexa. I'm like, believe me, if they want to listen to me, they got ways. But
that's funny.
But there is, there is something that's shifting right now with the vaccines. There's something that's changing. I keep telling everybody because I think it is a very personal decision. I know they're saying greater good, but there's still, yes, greater good. I'm all about it, but search yourself. Don't go with all the headlines and the hearsay and the sheep mentality.
Yeah.
We are losing ourselves to sheep brain right now and herd mentality.
And you know what?
And
the worst
censorship.
thing for your immune system is fear.
Yes, I refuse to be afraid anymore. I'm so fed up.
I always go the other way. I have enough things to be afraid of.
But I was terrified in the Trans-Allegheny lunatics. Okay, let's go there.
Folks, when we come back, we're going to talk about the lunatic asylum. All right, hold on one second. Hey everybody, just want to let you know my tarot class is on sale this weekend only until the 23rd, or the 23rd. I believe it runs out at midnight. So that'll be 2 days. You can get half off when you go to karenrontowski.com and click on tarot, and then you're going to use the coupon code October, all capital letters October. Also, November 1st, I finally have a Patreon. I know I'm so far behind everyone else. It is a tarot and psychic development, so it's going to be some paranormal, but mostly tarot and psychic development. I'm going to be putting up classes myself that are tarot classes, and we're going to be doing meditations and psychic exercises, and there's going to be homework and all kinds of fun stuff. I'm also going to have guests come on and tell us about their process, how they do their thing. So November 1st, the first class will be out. November 4th, patreon.com/Rontowski. So now tell me all about...
Okay. This was...
Which, by the way, I have to say, the Utica has a lunatic asylum. Remember when lunatic was a good word?
Yes! Yes! I love, too, that it's still called... This place has been around since the Civil War. Over 100,000 people died.
And what state is this in?
West Virginia.
West Virginia, okay.
And they do daily tours, but I love being scared. Nothing scares me. Like, it's really boring. I love Halloween Horror Nights. I love all that stuff. But I go and I get jump scares get me. But like, I cruise around my neighborhood in the middle of the night walking with Hecate. Like, I'm like, scare me, come at me, and nothing is scary. But this was terrifying. We got locked in for the night. And we had 2 private guides, and this beautiful woman, Jen, if you ever do, and I'm like, I hope I discourage you from going here, but I mean, if you're into it, definitely learn your psychic protection. And I know my psychic protection, and I came back with 13 attachments. Ugh. I felt like I had parasites. I had an unproductive cough. I actually made a video and put it on my Instagram because it was so, I thought I had COVID. Did not. Also, I didn't.
I
really
remember
have the
when you came home from this.
I couldn't stop coughing, which is spirit, which is an attachment, which is, I mean, a cough for a psychic is usually a spirit attachment. And in there, what were you going to say?
That's very interesting. Is there, what do you talk more, do you have more information about that?
There are a few, like, I came home, well, the very first night from because I was making contact. The thing is, here's a big problem. You go into a place like that, and you're an empath. So you start to feel their energy, you start to feel their pull. Because I was with Jen, a person they knew very well, and she is such a beautiful spirit. If anything, I'm like, Jen, you got to find a new job. You can't work here anymore. Like, I told her all these things to do. She had a subhuman, like, try to take her down. And
what you mean? Was that like a story she told there?
Yeah, she was only telling me. She's very reserved about this stuff because a lot of people are like, "Well, you'll think I'm crazy," and I'm like, "Oh, trust me, I'm in it. Like, I will believe it." And she had a lot of psychic attacks, a lot of different things. That place, the top floor, all the energy, like, horrible people worked here. So horrible people did horrible things to patients.
Which then attracts horrible energy, and horrible spirits.
Thousands of lobotomies. A lobotomy is a murder. A lobotomy is straight up a murder. You've created a zombie. You know, we all know this. But like, thousands of murders in this place. Over 100,000 people die. It's 9 acres to walk the whole thing.
Oh my God.
It's wild. And murders and suicides occurred throughout constantly. They did a thing, that little bastard, what's his name? Jack Osborne went in there with his producers and, I'm not supposed to talk about this. I remember. Oh, who cares?
Well, you know, that's a funny.
They antagonized a spirit. They took the mask that the murderer painted, and he murdered this man, and this man is a big, gentle ghost. And, you know, he hasn't crossed over. No, so many people in there haven't crossed over. He antagonized him with this mask and riled the spirit all up, and then it riles up everything, and then that portal on the top floor gets bigger. And
you know, that's the thing about the TV shows that is, you know, people that, well, there's no evidence of this or that. You know, these spirits are not dumb. I always remember my friend Christopher Balzano talked about a story about a house in Boston, and they were live. They were taping live, and there's getting all these EVPs. They're hearing conversations, and then one walks in and goes, "Shh, they're taping you," and it goes silent.
Whoa!
Right, and so we're not supposed to be getting evidence. So if people think I think when TV shows go in, it's harder to get evidence, and that's why why they're all agitating. But,
Yeah. These spirits, they were so sophisticated. They knew electronics, because we had a spirit box.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the spirit box, but that thing is always on fire.
Those, yeah.
Oh, they're so good. And it gives the power it gives them an extra voice, like a leg up in being able to talk. And I got some live ones on there, and it was so sad. The whole time we were in there, I kept telling them, I was like, there's no point in setting up the cameras. We're not going to get anything. They know what that is. And we did it. Everybody walked around setting up cameras.
I have an interesting tip on that. But we just back to Jack Osborne. This is where, because we were talking before, I would not mind being a sidekick on a show, but I wouldn't want a paranormal investigating show. Because when
so
they
risky.
push you, and I know half of the evidence, at least half of it, is faked.
Yeah.
But some of it, every once in a while, they get some. But I believe you can check this story, but I even think I saw it on a show with Jack Osborne, is someone told him not to go to the, where is it, the ranch in Utah.
Oh my God, Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker Ranch.
No.
And as soon as he left, he got MS. Which I know it's like a weird...
No, that's definitely from going to Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch is real deal. Stay far away from Skinwalker Ranch. And my ex-husband was Navajo. My one ex-husband is one of my ex-husbands, not Navajo. And there is a lot of... Because they don't talk about it. The Navajos don't...
Oh, yeah. Because it sort of puts them in a bad light.
But it's real. It's very real. And we don't have a place there. Like
if you have the original, if you can get the original book, I had listened to it on audio. It was amazing. It was by, maybe it was George Knapp. He lives in Vegas. He's a reporter from Vegas. And he talks about how badly he was treated, that he was like the first UFO guy, and how awful they were to him. But one of the stories in there that I found so fascinating is... Everyone else was seeing lights flashing, and someone had on the night vision goggles, and instead of seeing lights, he was seeing a tunnel, and he was watching things crawl out of that tunnel. Oh,
wow. Yeah.
But
we don't belong in places like, they're just, it's even like Ryan's story about going to Florida.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and he wants to go back to Conqueror's Demons, and I'm like, you barely escaped death. Don't go back there.
Well, you know what else? I wouldn't return that. Bobby Mackey's. There's 2 or 3 places I wouldn't go, and Bobby Mackey's in Kentucky is one of them. And I was working in Indiana when there was this is how great my guides are. And I think this happens to a lot of people even before they're kind of in touch with their guides, is... I was an hour away, and they were like, can you do a show in Bobby Mackey's for the paranormal convention? And I was like, of course, I'll get a rental car. I'll come down, go back, do it in the afternoon. I couldn't get a car. I kept getting blocked. To one person got sick in the parking lot, had a heart attack. Another one went home and had a blood clot. Like, this stuff is not that it isn't... This negative energy, folks might remember the podcast I did with Diet. He was like, "No, you shouldn't be around us. It's bad for yourself."
I thought I was going to die. My whole family and I aren't speaking. They were with me on this trip, and they still have attachments. And this is like, well, I wonder how this is going to work out, because they want to go on a paranormal investigation, and then they're like, no, the attachments aren't real. And I'm like, okay, but the ghosts were? Like, how do you decide what? It's so stupid. But
I think one is scarier than the other. So
well, when I was in there, I did all my protection. I called in Hecate. I had my angels, and I was with my cluster, and I went into the bathroom by myself, and all these creepy faces came out of the walls and watched me pee. And I was like, that's fine. You can watch me. Don't come near me. Don't touch me. And I kept saying the whole time, I was like, please do not touch me. Please do not touch me. And they were very respectful for the most part. But then I had this giant black tourmaline that I always wear, especially the length hits right at my heart chakra. So it's lungs and heart. And I've been wearing it, especially with COVID. It just broke in half and fell. So I had for no reason, I had a tiny piece of tourmaline, and it just went clunk like a big hunk of coal. Like it reminded me of the end of Time Bandits. Yep. And when remember, did you ever see Time Bandits where he's like that pure concentrated evil? And it's like a big, it's so good. I saw that movie when I was a child, and it shouldn't be for children. But so my black tourmaline clunk fell on the floor, and I was like, oh, I'm fucked. And then as we go up higher and higher, things are coming closer. They're not respecting me anymore. They tried to push one of us down the stairs. They're getting very aggressive. And I did almost send a boy into the light. And this is the thing. Give us a psychic show where we actually send them into the light. Like, let's have psychopomp. Like, yeah, that pisses me off. Nobody wants to do it. They just want to go in. They want to rile everybody up and hurt them. And what people don't realize is spirits are like crazy people. They're like people who have lost their minds or are trapped in a loop of dementia. We need compassion for ghosts. And
what also I feel like, especially in a location like that, you're not dealing with just ghosts.
Yeah.
And I know
big time. A
friend of mine told me in an insane asylum, there's so much demonic activity in there. A friend of mine told me about this guy that used to work in an insane asylum, and there were two things that I'll never forget that he said, which was he said they brought a guy in. The guy bent over, put his head between, like he was standing like twisted in a pretzel with his head between his leg coming out the other side. And ran down the hall so fast no one could catch him.
You'll see stuff, and there were plenty of, like, they felt like large insects. These subhumans climbing the walls in there. And I was like, this is not just spirit activity. We were in there, and I was like, I have fucked myself. Like, I knew this was a huge mistake. But it did lead to some huge healing. I've had a mother wound.
That's actually a big thing. I have to tell you one more story. Because it's Halloween. The guy, I remember the guy saying that they put one guy that they couldn't control. They drugged him up so much, and they put him on a bed, and they came in, and he was being dragged up the wall by his feet. And they didn't put it together. That's the cross upside down.
That's the cross upside down. That's hanged man. The stuff that went on in here, and the people who like were killing themselves, were killing each other. It was so beyond. There was no humanity, and that's
they
the
just
thing.
Pulled their teeth out if they bite someone.
Long before people they had a pile of ghosts. Long before it was stockpiled with that, there was such misery in there that it calls in more misery, and it calls in the demons and the subhumans, and they often travel underground, you know?
And then at the end of the tour, they'll say something like, and it closed in 1986. And you go, 86? That we have been humane
I think you just hit the number when this actually closed. Because I was like, wait, or maybe it's the 90s. We were like, what the fuck? Because there's black mold in the basement.
Yeah,
like,
we were alive when this, and you're like, this is back in the 1800s. No. It was like,
it was so sick. You could feel the misery. And this was the problem is I go in there and I'm like feeling all this sympathy and empathy and compassion. And when you feel that stuff, you open yourself up. And I came back, even that night in the hotel room, it was 5 a.m. and I'm doing my cleansing ritual, and I had a whole shit. I felt like I had a bunch on my back. And I'm at the point, because I do this in the shower, I have like a whole ritual. And first I shower, and then I do my ritual. And I'm at the part where I'm about to do the ritual, and the smoke detector in my hotel room starts going off. And I get out of the shower, and the wonderful young woman on the desk comes and turns it off for me. And I was like, why is it going off? She's like, I don't know, it's just your room. So I'm like, well, I'm clean, I'm going to bed. And I was like, you bastards. They almost tricked me because I was done showering, and I was about to start my ritual. So I did do my ritual. And I had to sleep with all the lights on. I was like, they're still here. How are they still here? And then I get back to Florida, and they're in my room. I saw 2 boys I brought home. I called my healer friend, Kat, who's actually she's one of the best psychic mediums I've ever met in my life. She's a shaman as well. And she is coming over to help me with the crazy thing that I'm going to tell you about, too, the ghost who's been haunting me like crazy. So she comes over to start helping me clear this stuff. And she's like, you have 13 entities, 13 entities all wedged up in your ancestral wounds. And she goes, the things that run in your family, the mental illness in your family, we have a lot. She goes, you've brought all of those. They could fit inside of you, and they're in you. And there was pedophilia, schizophrenia. There was harsh, heavy, horrible stuff from my family. And her purging them was very difficult. I went through bouts of mania, and I couldn't tell if I was like, wait, is this actually who I am, or am I manic because I feel insane right now because this energy is like coming out of me? And I actually got back to myself. Like my energy went, because I still had some attachments from before. So also, you know, I've been having a lot of problems with love lately, as lots of people have. And the mother wound is very prominent. All my psychic friends and you were seeing very good stuff too when we swapped readings that night. Like the love, there are blocks on love for me. Kat said, you won't have love until you heal your mother wound. And we go through this process of like getting all these things out of me, and I start to feel better, but my family is just disintegrating. Like they're all fine with each other, but like I'm the black sheep, I'm the problem.
I want to interject just before I forget. Just for people who, and hold that where it's your family. For people, an insane asylum is not where you begin your ghost hunting.
No.
thing.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah. And also,
good point.
Remember what she said about being empathetic and being compassionate, because many spirits will mask themselves as children. You'll go to a haunted location and you'll be like, why are there all these children here? That is to open you up to their compassion.
Yep.
And and the attachment thing, that's very interesting because it fits in with where I feel like right now all our lessons are being
ancestral
jammed
karma
upon us.
Yes.
Okay.
We have such an opportunity right now to clear, to integrate our shadows.
Mm-hmm.
This is a dark period because we're supposed to visit our darkest corners. And I've been doing a lot of shadow integration. I've been doing a lot of work, but my mother wound is a doozy. And I've talked about this a lot on my podcast, but like I'm a rape survivor of my mother's brother. And when I told my family what happened, I was 30 years old when I finally told everybody. I protected him even though he beat his wife to death and went to jail for that. I told everybody, and I was very concerned that they wouldn't be kind to him. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted them to still be kind to him, but I expected them to say, what a monster. And they didn't. Because this shit is normal in my family to them. It's normalized to them. And I had a decade of therapy to help me with it. And he raped me for 2 years of my life. And I kept getting angrier and angrier because they would like hire him to build their porches. They would like hang out with him. He's beaten a woman to death and raped a child, and you have him around your children. Like it was, I couldn't. Well, and
which is such a message for him.
Yes, and I expected to like have a relationship with him because I wanted to normalize it too. And I woke up to him trying to rape me one night when I was in my early 20s after he apologized for what he did to me as a child. It was so fucked up, and I told everybody in my family, and I was like, that's it. I'm done. Don't talk about him to me. Do whatever you want with him. Don't talk about him to me. But they would still push me. It was like poke the bear. Let's see how angry she gets. Crazy. My family they have a lot of ancestral trauma. It goes way back. So I recently started to go to therapy with my mother. Her idea. I'm blown away by this.
Wow.
And I didn't tell her I had to heal my mother wound. She brought this to me. I tell the therapist, because my mom and I just had this huge fight about my family pushing back after we all got all these attachments. And I said to the therapist, I'm done with hysteria. I'm not doing it anymore. It's not mine. It's not hers. It was her mother's. It was somebody else's before hers. I mean, my grandmother was like writing curses in Bibles and cursing people. She was a freaking master crazy witch, like bad stuff though. Invoking Christianity for, which is like lots of magic and evil forms do invoke Christianity and use the saints for bad stuff. So I tell her I'm not doing hysteria anymore. I'm done, which is not me. I can be hysterical easily. And even the drive to the airport when she was driving me out because I was going down the shamanic retreat, then coming to LA, we start to fight and she starts to get hysterical. And I said, no, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm done. I realized it wasn't mine and I put it down. I just put it down. I walked away from it. And every long-term partner I have has seen me hysterical. This is a huge problem. I loved to whip myself up into a frenzy. And even like breakups with friends, I go crazy, burn it all to the ground, take it all out. So I was like, I'm just going to be different now. I did enough of that. It's not for me. It doesn't serve me. Put it down. Go on this retreat where we're learning things in a teepee.
And I'm just going to invoke two things, and then we're going to come back on the other side of the retreat. I will say this on every podcast until you guys are sick of it. When you were saying, is this me, is this mine? When under attack from a spirit, your mantra is,
thank you.
My name is Karen Rontowski and I know who I am. You would use your name.
I could cry right now. This is if you guys remember anything from this episode, this is it.
I think I've said this on 10 episodes. I repeat it every time. You say your name and you say, I know who I am, and that is going to hold your ground.
Yeah.
That is a great protection. And also, I was going to say, I think that if there's some dings on here from text messages, I apologize. I don't know. I didn't have it off. All right, folks, we're going to be right back. I'll hold that thought. This is fantastic. Hey, everybody, you having trouble with your kitty or your pooch or your penguin or your Neanderthal boyfriend? Either way, animal communicator Sonia King is to the rescue. You guys have heard Sonia on the podcast. She is one of my best friends. She has helped me out with Courage, a.k.a. the boss, so much. She has helped me when he was sick. She has helped me when he doesn't like his food. Sometimes he just pops in to tell her he's been very busy. That's the relationship they have. But whatever your relationship is with your little buddy or pal, Sonia can help you to understand what's going on. Whether there's an issue, you don't know if they're sick, they're acting funny, or they might just want to say hello. You might want to find their purpose in your life or just wonder why they bite the mailman. But either way, Sonia King is your lady. You want to book a reading with her at soniaking.com. And that is just as easy as it sounds. SONYAKING. soniaking.com. Book a reading with her and find out what your little ones are thinking. Okay, so we're at the
shamanic
retreat
with Sarah Goff, one of my best friends.
I have to know now.
Yes, you guys are going to love each other. And she has learned a lot of earth medicine, really beautiful stuff. She helped me with my psychic awakening. And this is just something she's trying. She's not sure that she's really going to teach people how to be healers, because she's teaching healers how to be healers. And so she called in people she'd worked with and friends to test this on. And it's funny because I stayed with her a few days afterwards, and she was trying to make me sit in the teepee and be quiet for 18 hours. And I was like, fuck that. I am triple fire. I can't sit in a teepee for 18 hours, not after the weekend I just had. But she has like really great, powerful medicine for everybody. I love her. I'm in love with her. And she has this partner with people, and I was partnered with someone I was having static with, which is always the way, because this is a journey.
Funny. Yeah. Exactly.
And she told me, because I had Toddy, my little chihuahua, strapped to my chest the whole time for this, and she tells me that she tried to adopt. Yeah, she tried to adopt, but it was just so hard. Chihuahuas are one of the pit bulls, and Chihuahuas are the top most euthanized breeds of dogs in this country,
and they're the easiest ones to get. They really,
it's true.
Yeah,
and I didn't want to be an asshole. And because I want it to be a teaching moment. Yes, and I want to influence people, and I have influenced a lot of people who bought pets to adopt later, because any breed you want, you can find and adopt. I had Pomeranians, that I adopted, rescued from puppy mill. Lots of problems with a purebred dog, like lots of physical elements, but so I get partnered with her because she's the only one I'm having sex with. Yeah, and I'm like, and we're pulling things out of a hat, and my guide said, no, this is good. You need a mother for this, and I was like, what? Because we're just doing. It's a very physical test to figure out which chakras need to be illuminated. And this is something, I'll do this on you if you want when I get back, because I want to practice on friends. And honestly, I don't know that I'll ever do this for money. I think I'll only do this for people I love, because it's
good information to have. Period.
Yeah, yes. It transformed me, totally transformed me. It's a physical test to test chakras and see what's out. I always assume it's my throat because I talk too much, and my heart because it's been broken so much, like in past lives, And it's usually two. It's usually two chakras that are working together to be out, and they're side by side. And this person does the chakra test, and it's neither of those. It's my solar plexus. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, she doesn't. Immediately, I'm the asshole. I'm like, she doesn't know what she's doing. And Sarah points across the teepee at me, and she goes, mother wound. And I was like, oh, my God. And I'm like, it's on. It's on. Nothing could have prepared me for what happened next.
When you say mother wound, it means your biggest wound, right?
My biggest wound that keeps me from partnering. It keeps me from I mean, even just giving up the hysteria and the burn it down. It's all from my mother's side. It's all from my mother wound. And even, I have the spirit of, she's actually a Leo, spirit of a little Leo girl who wants to be born by me. And I'm like, sorry, baby girl, can't do it. Not doing it. Because I got a mother wound and that would be yours, and I've put this child off. And I had many miscarriages. I wasn't trying to get pregnant. They are very determined sometimes, your little baby spirits. But I lie down on the mat, and my partner starts to work on me. And there's a whole process. You open the aura, you open your aura, you do this so much. It's very intricate, and you have to be in a really good place. It was like surgery. I felt like I was on an operating table, and everything had to be precise. It was very. I was blown away, honestly, by the feeling of precision that was going on with all of us. And she starts clearing that chakra. She's pulling out, and I can see...
Sorry about the motorcycle.
I can see some of it, and it looks like black tar. So that's usually what it's always going to look like when you do this work on somebody. So she's pulling black tar out, and she's getting in there, really getting in there. And it goes all the way to your back. The chakras are deep. Well, I have very clear sight. Like, I see a lot of crazy shit. And I'm lying there. I see the mountains. I see a train. And I'm like, oh, is she from Salt Lake City? And my guides were like, baby girl, you're in Salt Lake City. And I was like, oh, right, we're in Salt Lake. So we get on the train, and the train starts to move. And we end up in old London town. And it's all black and plaguey. And it's not dead people. It's just death. Death lives in all these houses. And it's all black and dark and sooty, like it's been burnt. And the train is just going down a cobblestone street, and it stops at a door. This actually felt very Polar Express. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is this train track doing here? It stops at a door, and the door is purple. And I'm wondering, because sometimes when I see stuff like this, I'm like, is this the person's? Is this my partner's, or is this mine? Later, when I did her, when I was able to return the favor, and man, she had some stuff in her. We all do, and we're healers.
Now it's like a different door or layer has been opened, so it's more than we thought.
And right now, with the veil being so thin, it's at the surface.
My rage is like if you had asked me last year, I'd be like, no, I'm over it. I don't have this year. Holy cow!
Well, this is good though, because this means you can take it, you can have it removed.
Oh, good.
Like now, if it's at the surface,
let's do it right now.
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm like, let's go in light after this. I'm serious.
Oh yeah.
Do you have a? Well, I'll talk about this later. I'm like, if you have the tool I need, we could. I can totally do your chakras after this.
Okay.
So I see this purple door, and she's a professional therapist, and she's helped a lot of families, and she does good work, and she is precise. She's a great human being, and I'm sorry we make up stories about people, and that's part of shamanism is not creating stories around situations, practicing non-suffering, non-judgment. What's the other one I keep forgetting? Non-attachment. And man, I'm there. I'm so there. This everything got blown open. So I see this purple door, and later I see all this amethyst with her. She's like, I saw a shark come up out of the water with amethyst teeth, and I said to her, "Who's the Pisces?" And she goes, "My little baby girl." And Pisces get a bad rap, but they're the monsters of the ocean. She had all the people around her had all this amethyst. I say monsters of the ocean in a good way. They're fighters.
Pisces have the most serial killers, too.
So is it Pisces? Because it's definitely one of the mutable signs. Or is it Gemini?
I thought it was Pisces.
Or Virgo. It's always different. It's not Sag. I am Sag, but we have a lot.
Scorpio.
Scorpios, I don't think in the top 4, but it's all the 4 mutables. Sag, Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo are the mutables, and they all love to kill people.
I know it. I do remember that it is Pisces and Gemini because it's always the double.
Oh, that makes sense.
Sure, it's the double. I thought the other one was Scorpio.
I thought Virgo was the number. I mean, maybe Scorpio's number 5.
Maybe it's
anyway.
Who's counting? Go ahead.
It's probably Gemini. Gemini's my favorite. So we go into this purple door, and it's the inside of the teepee, but it's black. It's charred, and I'm like, oh my God, we're on the flip side. We're on the Black Lodgy. What is this? And she has been clearing me for a while. And my breathing is like, there's terror in my heart, but I have no idea why. I see stuff like this all the time, but I know something is about to shift. Something is about to be revealed. And the whole process is called illumination. And I hear her say, she's like tugging, and I feel her tugging on me. And she says, I've got a cord here. And Sarah leans over and says, it's an angelic cord. And I'm like, leave it alone, don't go near that cord, don't go near that cord. And Sarah goes, ask if you should cut it. And I'm lying there, and I'm like, And I hear above, my guides above say yes. And I hear a guide below, a guide, say no.
A fallen angel?
Well, I'm going to learn more about what this was soon. They keep, whenever I try to look, they're like, you don't need to know right now. But she says, and I don't say anything out loud. I'm just lying there. I'm like barely in my body. And I hear her say, I got a yes or a no. And it comes like this breath comes from below, fills me. And tears start coming out my eyes. And I say, I got a yes and no too. And Sarah goes, cut it. And I'm like, no. I like, even to think about the way it felt, I felt like I was about to be murdered. And I see a pit of hell in this black teepee I'm in open up, fire. And when I was a child, something showed this to me a lot in my house, in our very, very haunted house that had portals and terrible things in it. And I'm like 4 years old in this house. It's the exact same thing opens up, this fire pit to hell. I see what looks like Carrie at the prom, soaked in blood, a young woman. She is screaming hysterically. She's screaming just like my grandmother, just like my mother, just like I have. You're just gonna kill me. You're just gonna kill me. You're gonna send me to hell. Crazy. Totally crazy. And she's holding onto a pulley, and there are flames all around her, and she's being sucked down. Now, one of my guides was like, she's lying to you. There's no hell. You know there's no hell. I mean, there's stuff like hell, but she's not going to hell. Let them cut this cord. And I am heaving. I'm barely able to breathe. I'm sobbing so hard. Kat had just said to me, she's like, it's not because I intimidate men. Yeah, and lots of us do. Lots of strong women do, for real reasons, for good reasons, because we're independent, we're feminists, and we fight for equality. And Kat goes, you have a survivor who leads, and she doesn't need to lead. She trusts that she's there. She's got to go. The survivor is scary. And Kat had just said this to me before I left, and I was like, no, my survivor, I was attacked by a pit bull, and she pulled its eyes out of its head, and it didn't kill me or my dog. Well, I mean, its eyes went fine. It was fine. But that's what we did. That's what we did. And I blacked out so she could take over. She has fought off rapists. And I black out. I blacked out during my childhood trauma with my uncle. Somebody else was handling it. You know, she has served me. And Kat told me I had to get rid of her, and I said, no, absolutely not. Like, she just has to be integrated like my shadow. So I see this woman covered in blood screaming the screams that I've heard my whole family scream. And I feel my nipples harden. And it's hot. We're sweating in this teepee. Like, it's hot in this teepee. As they cut the cord, my breasts erupt with milk. So much that it's pooling in my armpits. Milk is just like pumping out of my breasts. I've never lactated in my life.
Wait, it's in the 3D world it's happening?
I can feel it on my body, but I can't move because I want to reach up and feel I can feel it pulling all around my arms and everything. And she goes away, gone. It all goes black. I walk out of the teepee in London town, which I'm guessing is where we got her, where my family picked her up. And I get back on the train, and all the tracks, and visions are strange, and anybody who's clairvoyant knows this. Like, I just know I'm on a train. I don't see doors and stuff, but I see the tracks. Like, I'm low, like my vision is low on the tracks. And all the tracks, you know, they're just train tracks. They're all straight. Before the train moves, they all go wonky and crooked. And it's so she can't follow us home. Oh. And, which is good. She's fine wherever she is, I guess. But all the tracks rearrange, and we go somewhere else. And I sit up after she illuminates my chakra, my mother wound. I sit up, and I have one foot in my body. I cannot walk or stand. And so this happens all the time when I do shamanic work with her. She's like, you need to go stand barefoot on the earth. And I'm like crawling out of this teepee. And at this point, it's funny because Tottie's up in her room. My dog is up in the room because I had a feeling I couldn't, like she couldn't have been there for that. And I'm out in the grass, and all the women come out, and we go for a walk around this glen. And I don't even remember this glen. I went back to it later. I had no memory of it. I was gone. I was barely in my body. And I just kept crying, and I was like, it's over. It's over. And that night, you know, we have all this fireside ritual, and we're doing lots of ceremony work. We kept peeing. We're purging. We're crazy. Yeah. So all these women were constantly running out of the TP to go to the bathroom. And we'd all sit there and be like, well, who are we missing? We all kept saying that. Who are we missing? Who are we missing? And we realized, and then at the dinner table, we'd stop eating, we'd be like, who are we missing? Who are we waiting on? I asked them, because I kept thinking to my left, somebody's gone. Somebody's not here. I asked them, where do you feel we're missing? And all the women in the TP pointed to my left. At the dinner table, to my left. The left hand, the left path, you know, the left is like... Mm-hmm. She was so big. I know, too, like, I know she kept me alive, but she kept me alone. And then we're sitting at the dinner table, and I say to Sarah, what did you mean when you said angelic cord? And Sarah had a mouthful of food, and she goes, I didn't say that. Food's falling out of her mouth. She goes, I never said that. The person next to me who was my healer said, she never said angelic cord. And this person's clairaudient. She doesn't know yet. I just hung out with her in LA, and I'm like, you know you're a clair, right? And across the table, she goes, I heard you say angelic cord too. And I thought, why would they cut an angelic cord? And she also said she didn't understand how she could hear Sarah say it because she was so far away, and it was like the voice was being thrown. And that was my survivor. That was my demonic attachment. Served a strong purpose, not just like there to create chaos. How many times in my life have I been lied to by her? How many times was a voice? How many times did I fight with a partner and he said I never said that? And I'm like, you're a fucking liar and you're lying to me. And it was her. I mean, that night, I slept in total darkness. I don't usually do that because of subhumans. It like keeps them out, and I'm just always careful. And Sarah's house is very safe, but I just felt like it's over. The hysteria's over. My mom is clear. My grandmother comes through a lot because we had a horrible, horrible relationship. We've worked on it. This is the best thing about psychic mediumship. When they die, they work on it. Yeah, the ego's like, their ego's not as big anymore. And they're like, hi, I'm sorry, I love you. You know, it's so easy. But like, I think about my cousin's little girl, and I think, well, both of them had little girls. And one of the main reasons I don't give birth to this human is because I don't want her to hurt. And it's always, she'll just hurt the way I did. And, you know, a lot of us think that. Like, all the same things that we've been told, you know, women have to be so vigilant to survive. And I didn't want her to be in a world where she had to be that way. But those little girls do not get this creature. She's gone. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And everything got sped up where... You even told me this, you're like, I don't see you coming back to LA. Every one of my psychic friends was like, you're not coming back to LA because I had to do work with my mom. My mother wound. I come to LA. We're playing with my friend Suna's pendulum, and her pendulum is hot. She has a good guide attached to that thing. And I'm asking about coming to LA in 2022, and it's being really weak. And Suna goes, ask about December. And I said, I'm not going to be able to come back in December. And she goes, no, they said December. And I asked. It was a huge resounding yes. The very next day, I got an apartment. Somebody offered it to me.
Nice. See, I think that is, and this is where time is, even in my readings, I always say, give me a wide berth on time. But when we're clearing our stuff, everything is happening faster. And especially women looking for the one, which is a phrase I hate. Clear your stuff. And they'll always go, I did. And I'm like, nope, you didn't. We're never done.
It's so funny. Sarah just said this to me because I do think I met the one, and now maybe, well, you know what? Good news. You get the 5, really. They're the 5.
Yes. And you know what else? I believe the part of that person that seems like the one is transferable.
Yes, agreed 1,000 times. It
goes on to someone else and you get it in a different form.
Yep, I totally agree. She said something so beautiful to me about soulmates because she works with a lot of soulmate experts. And she said, whenever you meet a soulmate and you're like, oh, I met a soulmate, buckle up because shit's about to hit the fan.
Twins.
Everything explodes. My whole life exploded. And I do think I absolutely believe he's a soulmate. I don't know that this is our time.
Well, soulmate, I always give, again, a soulmate is here to teach you. So is it good? Is it better to marry a soulmate, or is it ready to marry someone unfamiliar?
So many soulmates you're not even supposed to have sex with. They're supposed to challenge your soul contract and then fuck off. That's it. And people, this is a huge mistake. I know so many people who have stayed with their soulmate too long. The lessons are over. They don't want to have sex with each other anymore. They're just done. There's no passion because the lessons are over. And that's when you got to go find a new soulmate.
But especially us here, people just don't want change. I'm bad about that. I don't want change, but we have to have change.
It's true. Well,
that's why we have a virus, because no one was going to change. No one was going to look deeper, and the universe was like, okay, we'll show you how to change.
Oh, yeah.
In 2021, which is a 5 this year, I can't stand this year. This year, I'll take 2020 over 2021.
I feel the same way. Well, also because we didn't know everything. We didn't see everything yet. Now we see everything.
Yeah.
And now we have to deal with it. And if we don't deal with it, it deals with us.
And that's where it is.
And this is, about having control over your health and your diet and your shadow integration. And this was the thing, too, because I was saying to Sarah, I'm like, I've had so many healers work on me. Why did this person, who's just a healer in training, why could she feel the cord? Why could she cut the cord? And Sarah goes, because you cleared everything. It could be seen. All the clouds. You said, I'm done. This hysteria is not mine. And poof, it rose to the surface. So going to therapy, everybody should be in therapy right now. Microdose whatever you need to microdose. We're all doing our own thing.
That is, and my friend Jessica Gillis, Jessica and Oscar, I'm doing a thing with her right now, 4 sessions with her, and she and I are actually going to get together and do a healing of each other, because her and I have this great connection. I just think she's amazing.
See?
I guess it's because I'm older. I'm always like, I feel like I have a mom connection with her. But it's even interesting that you come over and you're like, hey, I have this new way of healing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's falling in my lap, and every time you peel away a level, something gets better, and you get a psychic upgrade.
You do. That's the thing, the psychic upgrades. Well, even this, the mediumship thing, because I wanted animal communication, and I just kept asking for it, and even when my landlady showed me the house I'm renting, a squirrel ran up and started barking at me over the arbor, and she goes, I've never seen a squirrel do that. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're my jam. That's my animal.
A squirrel did that to me the other day at my sister's, and I was like, that is the loudest squirrel I've ever heard. I didn't know it was a squirrel.
They remind you to be playful. Yeah, the animals are like, I have dragonflies that come over my head and circle me now in front of people. I made these new friends. We went to the beach together, and it happened in the Publix parking lot, and they were like, I've never seen a dragonfly do that. And I'm like, yeah, that's my thing now. This is just, I've leveled up as an animal communicator. And the easiest thing is when I'm reading people whose pets have passed, they just come right rushing in. But even on this retreat, it was funny because I was the only one who had actual sight, and power animals kept coming in the teepee, and Sarah kept shushing me. She had fucking had it with my shit. She was like, stop telling everybody they're power animals. But the power animals wouldn't leave me alone. There was a rhino that was so aggressive.
That's funny.
It was so fun. But this mediumship thing, so this year, because I always could talk to the dead.
Yeah, this is great. This is coming up.
Oh my God, this is so crazy. So I move into this house because I go to Florida. My mom has cancer, then she has cancer again, then she's got COVID, and she's doing really well. But it's been a lot. It's been a whole lot.
Sure.
And I mean, hey, how about we heal that mother wound while you're dying? We were literally fighting off death constantly, and now I feel like TikTok, let's get this done. So I move into this house. The very first night I'm there, have you ever seen The Changeling, the old 1970 horror movie?
Mm-mm.
It's so good. It's crazy. There's a ball. And you know what else is crazy? It's always balls for me and ghosts. And in this movie, this ghost child is throwing the ball down the stairs all the time. And it's very scary. And I've had this my whole life with balls. When I was in the Trans-Allegheny, they kept telling me...
Wait, are you wearing perfume?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why?
Because I felt like somebody walked through. Because I did not smell perfume the whole time. It actually feels like an older woman came through.
Do you know what the smell was?
It just flashed.
I mean, I'm wearing Come To Me and Jezebel oil because I'm all DTF these days, but...
I didn't smell it.
But those shouldn't smell like old women.
No, those shouldn't. Should not at all. So I think somebody passed through.
I have a really great guide who is, she's so cute, but she's like, you need to have sex. My hymen is basically growing back. It's ridiculous. Sarah even said that to me, and I was like, no, it probably is. Which is, we're all healing in our own weird ways.
Right.
So the very
People need human touch right now, period.
Oh my God, I just saw my doctor, and he was touching me, and he's very handsome, and he was just touching, he just like very nicely, sweetly touched my face and said something. And we are always hugging. We love each other. And he touched me, and I was like, oh my God, I just started ovulating. I legitimately started to ovulate. So
you clasped. Yeah.
Anyway, so I moved into this house, and I knew I had to clear a lot of stuff. Later I find out 2 couples in a row, back to back, beating the shit out of each other in this house. So I get in there, and I did Beltane, and they had me do crazy sex magic in this house. And then go out and give it to all the trees. And they call this the tree house because the trees around it are out of this world. And I'm right on the river. It's gorgeous. I'm very grateful because this has been a good, safe place for me. So it's the very first night I'm sleeping there. I hadn't had a bed yet. I have my 4 cats and Toddy, and they're all on the king-size mattress, which is on the floor because we haven't bought a frame yet. And the end of the apartment, this is an old ancient house. The end of the apartment is all dark and has these beautiful vintage antique bay windows. It's just all open like a big aquarium with trees around it. And I'm standing there, and I'm getting a read on a ghost. But she like knows me and I know her. Like we just had it's like when you make a new friend is really how it felt. And I'm standing there in the dark, and I got all kind of sassy, and I was like, there's a ghost in here, huh? She takes one of the cat toys, a Jingle Bell ball, which is packed in one of the bags I've carried in, takes it in the other room, throws it in the air, it hits the floor, and rolls across the room. And the animals are like, what the fuck was that? Because but they know nobody else is in here. The very next night, I'm sleeping in my bed, and the whole house you can run a circle around. A young blonde woman, naked, is running with Toddy and my 4 cats joyfully. All of them love her. They just met her. They only just came in the day before, running circles like a herd on the move around the house. And she's running through my bed. And
Jeez, that scared me.
Oh, that was fun.
That was the wind just the
so she's running. It was very like Diana, like very goddess. And I'm like, this isn't a ghost, though. This is something. This is somebody who's connected to goddess. This is somebody who has messages for me. So we start to play. And there was one night, she turns the light on to talk to me, where I could straight up ask her a question, and she'll say yes or no. She'll flick the light. My 2 favorite stories about her. The one night, I'm lying in bed after a shower, and I just have a towel wrapped on me, and it's where you just should go to sleep, but you just want to keep scrolling and talking to people. And all the animals are in my bed, and my black fluffy cat Rue starts to cough up a hairball. And it's a king-size bed, and I'm going to get to her faster if I jump up and run around it than if I try to jump across it. So I hit the floor, slip, my towel flies in the air.
I remember this.
I hit the floor with a thud. All the animals go whoosh over me, out of the bed, terrified. And I'm lying on the floor, naked, cracking up. Because it's the whole, a cat's about to throw up, and then boom, and I fall. And I'm just laughing my ass off. And I'm thinking, I really wish I had a partner, because that would have been so funny for them. They could tell me how much funnier my face was. I don't know what this looked like. And I'm like, I'm still laughing, but I'm like, it sucks to experience this alone. And she turned my bedroom light on. She was like, baby, you're not alone. She's just so sweet. And then recently, that hot bartender, I'm like, oh, this is great. Finally, 3 years, I'm going to have sex with a man again. Nope, he blew it. My really good friend who's just like a good crusader of women's rights and a good man, and he is hanging out at the bar with this guy, and this guy is saying, I'm going to tag that witch pussy. I'm going to tag that witch pussy. And Brent says, hey man, she's a good girl and she's looking for love and she's better than that. Don't call her witch pussy. And this guy won't stop reducing me to witch pussy. And Brent calls me. He's like, don't go to his bar. Don't see him. Because these are my friends who actually try to set me up with this guy. And I mean, honestly, like, who wants to date a bartender in Florida at my age anyway? I mean, really. And Brent calls me, and he's really upset, and he's like, and I'm like, he wasn't kidding, though? And he's like, no, I was telling him it's, like, disrespectful, and he was still doing it. And I'm like, for a man to call it a man and the man to get upset, it's bad, yeah. Yeah, it's severe. So I say to Brent, well, do you mind me telling him that you told me this? He goes, yeah, you tell him I told you. He knows I'm going to tell you. So I'm standing there talking to Brent in my living room, and I said, all right, so I'm going to text him. I'm going to be like, So I'm not really feeling this because I was supposed to get with him in like 15 minutes. And I'm going to go to the bar, I'm going to have a drink, and then I'm going to go get ready for my trip. And he thinks he's going to fuck me that night, which, wow. I mean, you're not that hot. So he goes, Brent, I tell Brent, I'm going to message him and say, sorry, I'm not feeling it, but Halloween's coming up, so I'm sure you'll find some witch pussy. And Brent starts cracking up, and she flashes the light. She's loving this witch pussy comment. I did buy witchpussy.com, by the way. But then I go out with my friends, and there are some people from high school, and we're drinking at an outdoor bar, socially distanced because it's Florida and we're smart people. And we start talking about this brutal murder out of nowhere. I said to them later, I was like, how did we start talking about her? It was something I totally forgot. Jennifer Duffy. She was 21, blonde, stabbed to death in her bed. They never caught the person. Brutally stabbed to death.
Did they think it was Ted Bundy?
No. It was after he was executed.
Oh, okay.
And I don't remember when. I think it was in the 90s that this happened. And I went to school with her sister, Becky. Becky was the most beautiful girl I went to school with. And my junior high boyfriend dumped me for Becky, and I couldn't even be mad about it. I was like, well, yeah, you got to go out with Becky Duffy. She's like the most beautiful inside and out part. Like, I wasn't even mad about it. So, and that is not Venus and Scorpio for me, you know? So then Becky dies in her bed at the age of 21.
Wow.
And then their younger brother dies. And I knew their mom, Kathy. My parents owned a video store when we were kids, and I would manage it as a teenager because, like, as one will in Florida. Her mom would come in and talk to me about them dying. And it was painful for everybody. Everybody loved these girls. Kat came over one day when she was clearing me, and she goes, who's this blonde ghost in your house? And I said, I don't know. And Kat's like, she has a really basic name. She's really trying to talk to us. And I don't open myself to them unless there's a reason to. And I don't want to get like...
Open in your house.
Yeah. And Kat starts opening herself to her, and she's like, she wants to be your spirit guide or something. She's got a message. And Kat's like, she didn't die in here. She died over there, and she points down the street. And I'm like, yeah, I can tell and this is being a psychic medium. They feel you. They come in. They want to tell you their whole story because they're desperate for somebody to help. So we're all talking about Jennifer Duffy's murder. And somebody says something about a guy we went to high school with. I think his name was Tao. I can't remember his name now. He raped and stabbed 2 old women.
Excuse me.
Bless
I couldn't
you.
get that off. I was trying to turn off the thing with him.
Well, he raped and stabbed 2 old women right around my house.
Wow.
And they caught him. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, well, where was Jennifer murdered? And my friend Angela looks at me and she goes, like right next to your house. And I'm chilled to the bone. And they thought he might have done it because he had done this to other women. They have some kind of DNA. They have something that they haven't told the public about, but they ruled him out. He didn't do it. So I go home. I am freaking the fuck out because I'm like, okay, there are no coincidences. I pushed this murder down into my subconscious. I walk around here at night doing crazy shit, real weird stuff, witchy stuff. But I walk with Hecate, like I'm not afraid of stuff. If anything, I'm looking for a fight a lot of the time. Or a possum. I just love them so, and they mean protection. When you see them, they mean protection. So I get on the internet and I start Googling, and there's not a lot about this. But we were talking about her. None of us can remember how she came up. It was that day, the 30th anniversary of her murder.
Oh.
And my light comes on, and I'm like, Jennifer, oh my God, it's you. And I don't think I ever even met her, but I loved her mom. I loved her sister. I may even reach out to her mom and see if she wants to come. I mean, this is a delicate thing because you can't be an asshole. Right. People hurt, you know. But I'm going to check in with her and see what she wants me to do. But it's a lot of prep.
Wow.
So I drove by the house. After I found out, I drove by, and it's hard to find the house, but I found it. It is right near my house. And I drove by it at night, and I just felt from my head to my toes this chill. Somebody ran around covered in her blood in these like beautiful little streets where all these rich people live. It's very safe. And I'm like, they're still here. They're still here.
Wow.
And so I'm hoping on the 30th, the seance we do, I nail this motherfucker. And I have a theory already.
Well, it's interesting because bringing in all these people and bringing in all this energy is powerful.
Yes, and now I'm going to level up as a psychic medium. And like, I don't need anything out of this. It's just now, because I am fascinated by all this, and I love to go down a rabbit hole on just about anything interesting, and I don't want to learn too much more, and I'm not going to tell my two psychic medium friends anything. And if anybody wants to participate in the seance, like, go get the course. You'll get all this information. You'll get to do this with us. Don't read about it, because we want true, raw info. We want her info. We don't want trickster. And that's one thing you'll learn in the course, is how to tell the difference between a trickster and a real guide or a real spirit, because tricksters are just bored and playful. But man, I am like, I know that this flips a switch for me, and I'm like, is this going to be like, I mean, like, what is this going to, I can't wait to find out.
I love this.
But also,
I know.
she's with me now, and I think she wants to stay with me. And like, she will give me as a guide what I give her as a person who deserved better than that ending, you know?
That's excellent. Oh my God. Okay, so tell everyone, AngelaLovell.com.
Yeah, AngelaLovell.com. Go to courses. You can find me on Instagram. Yeah, it's Dear Witchy Poo. I'm branding now, okay? Like, people keep talking to me about how I'm supposed to be better. Dear Witchy Poo is also my podcast, where I talk a lot about witchcraft and shamanism and all this good stuff. But yeah, come do the course with us. Even if you're listening to this after October 30th, all this will be recorded. And all the Q&As that I'm doing with people who are signing up for the course, you'll have access to all of this. It's going to be wild. And by that, I hope we have the murderer.
Yes. And even if it's later, sign up and go back and watch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it's still I'm doing it as a whole course that you can take years from now.
Excellent. And for some reason, you are in Chicago this weekend. I am at Rosemont doing my special Tarot Halloween show.
Oh!
Yes, but everybody probably already knows it already. I'm doing that for the 28th, 29th, 30th in Rosemont, the Rosemont Zanies, and then on the 31st, which is a Sunday, I am at the downtown Zanies.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
Please do this in LA next year. When I get back, we're doing seances. Public seances.
Be great. Oh, that'd be great. We have to find a place. Yeah, I have to find
I got some. Yeah. Well, and Prairie, one of my best friends who I do Conjure the Cocktail with, which we've been on a hiatus for a while because she has big things and I have big things. She's a cocktail person, and we're going to do like witchy potions that you drink to help you get into the seance. And it's going to be so magnificent. I can't wait to come back.
I'm so glad you came by and made this Halloween episode with me.
I know, me too. Halloween's the greatest.
It is. And so are you. AngelaLovell.com, everybody. AngelaLovell.
Yes, it's the Smith of the Romani people. Lovell. I didn't know. It's the second most prominent among gypsies.
That is awesome. And thanks to Mike at Uno Rising Media. Folks, we'll see you all next week.